Although I cannot dive into the exacts of the night, as it is still currently an ongoing investigation, I can share a few things I discovered on the night that made me retire from the force. On a late August night, a call was made to the local police department. The call came from a pair of teenage boys looking to explore an abandoned home. They claimed to hear strange noises emanating from an old, decaying house. They mentioned hearing screams and something that sounded like an anguished cry. I arrived at the scene, expecting it to be just another routine check. Hell, I've played this role 100 times. I had no reason to be nervous, but for some reason, I couldn't shake this feeling of despair. As I approached the house, an eerie sensation washed over me. The air felt thick, heavy with an unsettling energy that sent shivers down my spine. I hesitated for a moment before stepping onto the porch, the wood creaking beneath my boots. The house did, in fact, appear to be abandoned, with boarded-up windows and a decrepit front door that barely hung on its hinges. As I carefully pushed the door open, a musty smell of decay assaulted my senses. The interior was dimly lit by flickering candles, casting eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper. This was suspicious. As previously mentioned, the home was abandoned. I thought perhaps a squatter living in the home had lit the candles. After realizing this, I was immediately drawn to hover my hand over my firearm, being prepared to expect the worst. I cautiously made my way through the corridor where I heard footsteps behind me. I quickly drew my weapon, paired with my flashlight illuminating the area I heard the sound from. To no avail, the entire space behind me was empty. As I turned back to my original path, the sounds of footsteps continued, but from behind a cracked door at the end of the hallway. I felt like I was being toyed with. Whatever was behind the noises wanted me to follow it. Drawing me in, I had to see what was behind it all. As I was following the chilling sounds that seemed to echo from the depths of the house, I reached the source of the disturbance. I slowly approached the cracked door, my heart pounding in my chest. The footsteps grew louder and more distinct, like the sound of heavy boots clanking against the wooden floor. I could feel the weight of the unknown pressing down on me, and a part of me wanted to turn and run, but my duty as a police officer compelled me to face whatever was wait. I could feel the weight of the unknown pressing down on me, and a part of me wanted to turn and run, but my duty as a police officer compelled me to face whatever was waiting behind that door. With a deep breath, I pushed the door open, revealing a room bathed in an eerie crimson glow. Candles, arranged in a bizarre pattern, flickered ominously, casting unsettling shadows on the walls. In the center of the room stood a tall man covered in a large beige cloth. Only his eyes and mouth were exposed, yet the expression made was sinister and chilling. My senses were overwhelmed by the sight, and a primal fear gripped my soul. I could feel a malevolent presence in the air, something far beyond my comprehension. Overwhelmed by the smell of the room, my senses were thrown off, but I managed to recognize a faint whimpering sound coming from a corner. There, huddled in the shadows, was a young girl, no older than 10. She was dressed in tattered, blood-stained clothes, her eyes wide with terror. She looked up at me, her face a mixture of hope and desperation. "Please, mister, help me," she pleaded in a small, trembling voice. I raised my weapon at the man. As I began to approach him, just stepping through the doorway, I stumbled, causing me to fall to my knees. Shining my light onto the path revealed a plastic bag covered in flies. As stated, I cannot speak too much about details, as it is still an ongoing investigation. I will allow you to imagine. The room was covered in these suspicious bags. I tried to recover my footing, quickly standing back up to be met with the eyes of the man looking down on me. His eyes bore into mine with an unsettling intensity, devoid of any humanity. It was as if he could see right through me, peering into the depths of my soul. I could feel a cold sweat forming on my brow as I struggled to regain my composure, trying to push back the creeping fear that threatened to engulf me. The young girl's whimpering intensified, her small frame trembling with terror. It was clear that she had endured unimaginable horrors in the clutches of this sinister man. I knew I had to act quickly to ensure her safety and bring this man to justice. "Let her go," I commanded, my voice steady despite the fear that gnawed at me from within. The man didn't respond with words, but instead let out a haunting, chilling laugh that echoed through the room like a macabre symphony. His laughter sent shivers down my spine, but I refused to back down. I raised my weapon once again, determined to protect the innocent life before me. As I took a step forward, the man suddenly moved with inhuman speed, lunging towards me. I fired my weapon in self-defense, but the bullet seemed to have little effect on him. It was as if he was impervious to pain or harm, fueled by some dark force beyond my understanding. He knocked the gun out of my hand effortlessly, sending it clattering to the ground. I felt his cold hands wrap around my throat, cutting off my airflow. Panic surged within me as I struggled to break free, but he held me in a grip that felt like iron. The room seemed to close in around me, the walls closing in like suffocating hands. I fought to stay conscious, to stay alive, but the darkness threatened to consume me. It was then that I heard a faint whisper, barely audible above the chaos. "Use this." I strained to identify the source of the voice. It was the young girl, her eyes now filled with a glimmer of hope. In her hand she held a small, ancient-looking amulet. With the last bit of strength I had, I reached for the amulet and held it tightly in my grasp. A surge of energy coursed through me as the amulet glowed with an ethereal light. The man's grip on my throat weakened, and I managed to break free. He stumbled back, momentarily stunned by the unexpected turn of events. Summoning every ounce of courage, I charged at him, brandishing the amulet like a weapon. The light emanating from it seemed to repel the darkness that surrounded him. With a loud, agonizing scream, the man retreated, vanishing into the shadows. I rushed to the young girl's side, helping her to her feet. She clung to me, and together we made our way out of the accursed room and back into the hallway. The crimson glow faded, and the flickering candles extinguished one by one. Outside, the police backup had arrived, and the officers secured the area. The girl was taken to safety, and I found myself staring back at the old, decaying house with a mix of relief and unease. The investigation that followed was complex and enigmatic, leading to dead ends and eerie discoveries. The man in the beige cloth remained elusive, as if he had vanished into thin air. Yet the amulet had become a constant companion for me, a symbol of protection and a reminder of the darkness that lurked in the shadows. Haunted by the events of that night, I eventually decided to retire from the force. The horrors I encountered were beyond anything I could have ever imagined, and I knew I needed time to heal and understand the true nature of the malevolence that dwelled in that house. To this day, the case remains unsolved, and the old decaying house stands as a silent witness to the darkness that once consumed it. And though I've left my badge behind, the memory of that night lingers, a constant reminder that some evils are beyond human comprehension, lurking in the depths of despair. If you liked this story, please make sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate you viewing my video and supporting the channel. Have a great day.